All right, I just wanted to do a quick Chase Burns mechanical analysis. Dude obviously throws fuzz. All right, this is him at Tennessee. All right, before he went to the Wake Forest pitching lab, obviously. So let's see what we're working with. Okay, one thing he does really well. He's got this high leg lift, right? Okay, you'll see that the pelvis stays relatively flat. Well, flat, but it also stays right. Posteriorly tilted, spine is in flexion as he lifts, right? A lot of people have the tendency to lean back, okay? One thing he does really well, look at this. Eyes, head stays still on target, okay? And then center of mass has moved away. We can show that even better here, right? All right, center of mass, watch it move away into leg lift. Right there at peak leg lift, he shifted the center of mass this way, right? This is the linear move that's going to allow him to use this mound, okay, and gravity to actually accelerate, and then makes it a lot easier to rotate effectively, right? You'll see he uses this long front leg as a counterbalance so that he can set up and maintain spinal flexion, shoulder tilt, pelvis here, shoulders here, right? You'll see that there's this gap in terms of the angle. This comes from, right, lateral flexion, right, at the spine, okay? So oblique is on. Okay, he's able to sit back into this hip. Oh. Now, he continues to move down the mound. Right, and what are we seeing right here? Relatively vertical shin, okay? So there's two types of vertical shins, right? You have a pelvic-driven internal rotator or a simply external rotator that's trying to hold ER, right? For him, looks like he's trying to hold some ER here. He's got a taller back leg, so you're not going to see this crazy joint angle, okay, because he's more of a tendon guy. He's a twitchy guy, so he can operate best with his tall back leg. If you were to tell him to dunk a basketball, I guarantee he could dunk really well off one leg, okay? Arm's going to flip up as the pelvis opens into front foot strike. Right here, you'll see this move. Watch, this arm's going to flip up, ball's going to be up here, and then this pelvis, this belt buckle is going to turn towards home right into front foot strike. And we see that exact move happen. Now we're at weight-bearing front foot strike. Okay, pelvis is open, shoulders are closed, chest is facing towards us at third base, ball's completely flipped up. All right, back foot still holding the rubber, right, because he's in hip extension right here and able to get the pelvis open simultaneously. Now let's see how he gets out of the position, right? He's in a lot of extension, so he went from a spinal perspective, he went from spinal flexion to extension, okay? And now you're going to see crazy extension. This is his outlier position. Look at this. Through the chest, through the thoracic cavity, right? You're going to see this crazy extension. This is unbelievable extension. Right? And now the front leg is able to block, so if we bring it back, weight-bearing front foot straight right here, okay? Watch this front leg. Pulls back behind it, okay, because this hip is going backwards because this back hip is rotating into it effectively rather than pushing through it, okay? So we see that move, right? Front leg was able to stabilize into ball release really nicely, right? Gives him something solid to rotate into. You see a little bit of this trunk tilt downhill, but that's just because of his plane of rotation, right? More of a over the top kind of guy, right? His slot's created by this side bend. This oblique is lengthened right here. Other side, you would see some contraction of that musculature. That's going to allow him to get the shoulder line into ball release right here, right? And then everything's going to spiral out in line. Really, really good mechanics. An elite mover. And now I want you to see one last thing. As this back leg comes through, you'll see that this arm, which probably slapped his left butt cheek, is now pulling back up. Good recoil pattern, right? Back leg is able to swing through effectively over a stable front leg, right? One more thing we can look at that I think is probably overappreciated a lot of times, but the glove side extension right here, okay? Right, able to set his direction. He holds this for a while. Look how long he's holding it. And then, right, it does go down in this way, right, instead of out this way, because that's setting up his plane of rotation, right, which is more like this rather than like this, okay? So good example of a higher slot guy, tendon-driven higher slot, long lever guy, and how they move best, okay? Now this goes into the opposite move. Pelvis opens into front foot. Arm, you'll notice he's able to really capture this pec. You can see tension through the shirt, okay? Why is he able to do that? Well, one, you'll see a lot of guys' elbows be down here in this position. He's up here, okay? Hand flipped up, really nice. You'll also see with his arm action, it's not the Ben Joyce early flip, right? He delays it into front foot, and then it's timed up perfectly here. You'll also notice one more thing. So really good spinal mover, right? He had that great extension. He also has this flexion right here of the spine into ball release. Super important, right? This whole concept of holding flexion early. So it's flexion, extension, and then flexion again. But yeah, I hope that helped. Obviously an elite mover, and would love to see what he does eventually in the big leagues.